My name is Mikael Aserud, with a double A, like in Holland and Odegaard, and I work for the Norwegian newspaper VG.
So obviously, it was the big game at the weekend between your two star players. How did you think they performed?
To take Martin first, maybe an okay game. Did what he always did. He run a lot, fought a lot, but not many important key passes, if you know what I mean. So in that part of the game, he wasn't at his best, I think. Haaland is another story. He couldn't make it very much against Arsenal. So little surprised that he was so out of the game, if you can say it that way, and yeah, it was pretty invisible. Like I see the pundits say that, and other news journalists. So very surprising that he was so out of the game like he was.
You think that's because of the way City are playing or the way that he's playing? Because I've seen both versions of that being discussed.
Yeah, to be honest, I think so. He's if you see Man City use right-footed wingers on the left side and the opposite on the other side, and when Kyle Walker and now Guardiola, they don't come around that often. It's a pretty conservative way of attacking, you might say. So he doesn't get those cross-ins. If he wants to score goals, you have to get the balls in behind the defenders along the on the pitch, on the grass. I mean, and that's obviously very difficult for when you meet teams that they don't let the striker or Haaland in this case get any space behind them. So when he lacks the crossings, it's not so much for him to work on, I think. And yes, you can say he it's the way City plays. But when Kevin De Bruyne was there, for example, he would have put in those crossings anyway. So from a little bit deeper down the midfield or running through in behind and then putting them in. So so that I when I look at Haaland, I think he has to sometimes, even on the pitch, even though he's in his zone, has to think, "Wow, I miss Kevin a little bit."
But
Maybe a little, yeah.
it can't just rely on one player, can it? I take the point that you're making, but I know Gundogan was there last season and would be playing that little pocket behind Haaland and thread through balls. And Mahrez was on the other side. Foden tended to play a little bit wider, so there were different options. And obviously, Alvarez has been playing this season. He didn't play quite as regularly as a partner. Do you think that that's had any influence on him? Because has an instinct to shoot himself rather than maybe play 1-2s and try and pass through the midfield.
Yeah, I think so, and I also know I think from the national team, I think Haaland likes to play more alone in that area. So I'm not sure if he's too used to have such a good, obviously very good Alvarez, but a link-up player there to find the one twos and the timing with that. So a little bit, of course, difficult to say, but I think it's yeah. And Alvarez also likes to take his own chances, obviously, and he's made that with great success. So no criticism for him about that, but it's been a little bit unusual, I think, for Haaland, and the games he's scoring is yeah, it's not the tough matches like Arsenal yesterday.
Statistically, you can't argue with his goal scoring record. Even this year, he's still on course to get the same number of goals as he got last year. But it does feel as if he's missing chances. And when I look at his body language, and that's one of the advantages of being in the stadium, as I know you were as well, as opposed to watching the game on TV, you can see what he's doing and what he looks like when the camera would be somewhere else. And I could see him little bit frustrated, a little bit disappointed in things. You're probably closer to him, in terms as a journalist than anybody really. Do you detect that he's getting a little bit frustrated by it all?
Yeah, I saw the same as you. I also like to study his body language. How is he now? Is he reacting in the right way? And sometimes I get very surprised that he doesn't get the balls right. He doesn't get the passes he wants. He doesn't get to finish the attacks, but still he applauds the other players, and that's a good response. But I see it's more and more a little bit more frustration coming out of his body language, and I think Pep actually said it quite well, that even Haaland told him that as long as I get my chances, it's easy to tweak. It's small little details maybe that makes you put them in the goal or outside the goal. But now he doesn't get against Arsenal in particular. He doesn't get the chances, and that's and not with Wolves either. So that's with knowing that Pep said that, referred to that conversation, you understand that what's going on behind the scenes. It's probably a lot of frustration going on now, I think.
I think the assumption is that once Rodri's back from this period out, and then Kevin De Bruyne returns as well, everything will click again. Haaland will start scoring all the time. City will go back to the top of the table, maybe win the treble again. You're a little bit more objective because you're not a City fan. You're a Norwegian sports journalist who can see these things from a different perspective. What's your instinct? Do you think that City are not much different than they were and just missing a couple of key players, or is there something different about either Haaland or the team this year?
A little bit difficult to say, but I've seen some good analysis of this City team this year, and I see that especially when you bring a player like Doku in, he hasn't played that much, but you see the rhythm that they usually have to break through the lines, and even the last line, defensive line. They're struggling a little bit more, and they have to think a little bit different. And Doku doesn't bring that quality in the crossings either. So it is a different City team, definitely, I think. But then it was the last year. But still, when you get Rodri back, he has an amazing ability, not maybe to put Haaland in front of the goals, but to play Alvarez, Foden, and Kevin De Bruyne, obviously, when he's back, and the other midfielders in between the lines, opponents' lines, and then it will go faster. Now you see they use 2-3 touches more in the midfield. Maybe they don't turn the right way with their body to just break through. So the tempo when they first want to go penetrate, it's a little bit slower, I think, maybe than last season when they were at their best.
So the final question, again, you can give a more objective view to this, is, are Arsenal the real deal? I mean, a lot of City fans will say they celebrated like they won the title at the Emirates, and we're only 9 games into a Premier League season. It's a bit early to do that. I do understand them celebrating, and I don't blame them for that. But do you think Arsenal, having won that game, are the real deal this year, or are we reading too much into one win?
I think they're definitely the biggest rivals with maybe Liverpool, but Arsenal, I've seen them dominate Fulham totally, and they draw 2-2. So they have in their team, I think, many more weaknesses than the City team maybe. And City has, I think, many more ways to attack. Really, if they use all their tools, with the cross-ins, and use Haaland's strength in the air a little bit more, they have some more tools and way to get to score goals. So they are Arsenal are the real deal. Obviously, bringing Declan Rice it's much better balance in that team, but City still has some more things to offer the next half year.
Is it just a matter of time before Haaland starts scoring every week again?
I don't think it's just a matter of time because I really think that he probably has to adjust a little bit to the other players, and maybe some of the new players can use their time good now in the trainings after international break to crack the codes to use him even a little bit more. So not a matter of time. It's the Premier League. I see how the defenders they play with their lives. It's not just like you tweak a little bit and then everything is okay. So they have to work hard, but eventually when he clicks a little bit more with those players who is in the attacking last third, I think it will come back. But I don't think it's as easy as you can just do like this.